So the question I keep asking myself on a daily basis is Donald Trump purposely trying to burn down America? And you have to understand and put this in context of who his supporters are and why they're so angry and want to burn down everything. So this is a MAGA person. Let's watch a little bit of this video and we'll talk about it.
You know what? Because you're an illegal and you know what? You don't live in Flower Mound and you're door dashing. You know what? Why are you entitled to be here with an illegal car? Go ahead.
I don't know.
You know what? I'll do that.
Just is homophobic?
No, speak English.
Yeah,
Well, then speak it.
but why?
But why? You know what? You're in Flower Mound. You know what? Go speak your language back in Mexico. You know what? Exactly. Hey, you're taking away jobs. You think it's funny? Okay. I can get in your face too.
Thank you.
So this is USA these days. This is who the MAGA people are. I'll read it. It says Texas MAGA takes license plate photo to send ICE a DoorDash driver who's not speaking English. You're taking their jobs, right? So essentially what it is you have people who get really upset if they hear a different language, right? They automatically assume you're illegal or whatever, right? And then they get really angry. And I guess if you look the wrong way, um, then this is the quote here: "You're illegal. Why are you entitled to be here in a legal car? Go back and speak your language in Mexico." But it was kind of strange because it sounds like the person who is on the receiving end of this is not from Mexico, I think, because the question was, she seems to be confused about exactly who she hates. The driver asked her if she's an Islamophobe, right? Yet she continues to tell her to go back to Mexico. And then they're saying this is in Flower Mound, Texas, so that's 20 miles northwest of downtown Dallas. This kind of people, they told all the time on Fox News that people are trying to hurt you and stuff like that, and that the Republicans are just kind, peace-loving people, and in fact they need to be honored. Meaning that Fox News tries to say like we're all angels and saints, and the other side is all evil, effectively, right? And they use the religious stuff. These days, the Republicans are now trying to put Charlie Kirk on a coin. Can you believe this? It says, this is Fox News. This is just a couple hours ago. House Republicans plan to introduce a bill this week directing the U.S. Treasury to mint 400,000 silver dollar coins bearing Charlie Kirk's likeness. So we're now putting Charlie Kirk on a coin. Okay. And it was funny because when you go through some of these comments, people are like, why are we doing this? This person says Charlie Kirk didn't need college. College need Charlie Kirk. Oh, okay. That's what someone quote. Because if you don't know, he would go to college campuses and just debate college students, right? Someone summed it up correctly. He was a podcaster who argued with college kids. He wasn't Nelson Mandela. Good God, people get a grip. So there's one side to say, oh, he's righteous because he dropped out of college. He's a college dropout. Charlie Kirk's a college dropout, and then he'd go to college campuses and just spread misinformation and start fights and record that. And that was his show. It was recording fights with college kids. And then I guess that deserves to be on a coin. And this is sort of what gaslighting is. And you have to remember who the MAGA audience is. I showed you guys they're angry people, and they're told every day on Fox News that all of these, effectively black and brown people are taking your job. That's what it ends up being. They'll take your job, right? And I try to do the economic news every day with you guys because if you understand the economic situation, that Trump, and you could talk about the whole system. It's just reality. The billionaires control the system, and if they make it so that it's hard for regular people, be it difficult, healthcare, difficult transportation, a number of things. And then what's crazy about, say, in this circumstance here, where this woman freaks out and she effectively is blaming another worker, right? Instead of blaming the system or blaming the boss, or blaming another worker. Even in like, say, these situations, Charlie Kirk or whatever, Charlie Kirk's all about blaming trans or stuff like that. Again, instead of like looking at why is our system completely nuts in favor of billionaires, we're just like blaming other basic worker level. And then what Fox does every day, and I just want to talk about this today because it become like really obvious today because they're really, really reaching. Now they're celebrating if someone wants to take a selfie with JD Vance, like that's how they want you to think, or they're trying to paint that the people who don't agree with their narratives are like crazy and violent. Listen to this. This is from Fox News. Listen to what they say.
You've made far too many people in this country on the left believe that they are facing an existential threat. You aren't just talking to crazy people, you are creating lunatics. And they're letting us know with what they are inscribing on their ammunition. Stop. No more of this. You've made far too many people in this country on the left believe.
All right, so that's his argument here. You aren't just talking to crazy people; you're creating lunatics. That's the message from Fox News, and they're screaming and yelling. And oftentimes, the stuff that they scream and yell, they misrepresent, they mislead, and are essentially creating this bizarro fake world that the Trumpers live in. And then they get really angry all the time, and that's why like again, I just try to tell you guys the truth about, hey, this is our financial system, this is what's going on, this is why you're feeling the pain, because this is reality. It all boils down to money, right? You could argue racism. I'm not going to argue against that, but just it boils down to money. People are concerned about putting food on the table and having jobs and making sure their family can have a decent life. I don't think that's anything outlandish, and I want people to have a decent life, and that's why we talk about the system where this idea that regular people choose Trump who doesn't care or anything about you. That's why the whole thing is broken the way that it is, right? Think of it this way. Why does MAGA, just think logically here, why does MAGA hate on, say, a farm worker, but not hate on the farm boss who hires the farm worker, right? If you're all about, say, getting a job and stuff like that, you should say, hey, don't hire farm workers, hire me, right? Hire this person to be, say, hey, hire me to be the farm worker. I mean, is that the job you want? You want to be the farm worker and the DoorDash driver? Is that the whole thing? I mean, that's just one thing that doesn't make sense. But a lot of stuff doesn't make sense. Is again, the whole goal of the Trumpers and their politics is to get people fighting each other. So we're not talking about the billionaire class. Listen to Trump here. Just listen. This is Fox News. They don't hide that he's nuts, but listen to this.
Your countries are going to hell. I don't mind making this speech without a teleprompter because the teleprompter is not working. These are the two things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. I feel very happy to be up here with you nevertheless. It's not politically correct. I'll be very badly criticized for saying it, but I'm here to tell the truth. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I can only say that whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble. Those big windmills are so pathetic, and Europe has to step it up. They're buying oil and gas from Russia while they're fighting Russia. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen. We're both in good shape. We both stood. They don't like wind, but they sure as hell like selling the windmills. Thank you very much. Your countries are going to hell.
And I mean, how are you supposed to read this? Like, to any sane person, you're just like, isn't this crazy? The president of the United States is like just speaking crazy stuff, and then Fox News even shows the crazy stuff and then acts like it's a good thing. It's bizarre. They describe it as being fiery moments. Today, I guess Trump then replaced Biden's picture with a picture of an auto pen thing, which is just really disrespectful as a whole. Like, other presidents don't do that. They don't just move everyone's portrait around. And one of the things that's in there's the Biden auto pen, and so like they replaced Biden's portrait. But we also heard that before, that where Trump would take Obama's portrait and hide it in the stairwell. That would be the painting one. This is the stuff that they're doing. They're petty. They're crazy, and they misdirect you and mislead you. I show this stuff because, especially for people outside the USA, it seems like a crazy clown show because it is, they're frank. Then they'll show Hillary Clinton, who's like literally saying, hey, let's stop the violence, let's stop the scapegoating. Listen to this a little bit.
Got to stop demonizing each other.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, I think most of that right now in our country's history is coming, from the right, coming from people who want to dominate. They want their point of view. We have got to stop with the finger pointing and the scapegoating.
Right. And so I get the game that Fox is trying to play. So Fox is saying, look, Hillary's the finger pointing, right? That's the game they're trying to play. But Hitler's not stupid, guys. It's not. And part of the discussion that we're having is, okay, so where does this whole situation come from? Okay, so again, I just want to make it really clear: people are under a lot of economic strain. You see it in the numbers. You see it with the auto defaults. You see it with people moving back with their parents. You see it with people who are retired asking their kids for help. Right? You see it in all of your prices going up at the store. You see it. You see it in your daily life. Like, people are in a lot of stress. And then the Republicans, basically, if you watch their news all day, every day, they basically blame the trans people, blame the immigrants, blame black and brown people. That's what they do nonstop, right? And if you point that out, like, hey, this is what the stuff that they're saying, or if you say, hey, this is the stuff that Charlie Kirk said, like, you can easily look up anything that Kirk said. It's obvious the game that they're playing, right? They just talk about hate this person, hate this person, hate this person. Um, all I ever say every time, and I just want to have honest discussion of this stuff, is like, look at our entire system and look how it's unequal, and how we need to create a system that benefits everyone, not just a few, which I think is a pretty reasonable thing to say, because it benefits most people. 99.9% of the people would benefit the stuff that I talked about. Again, be supportive of affordable healthcare, be supportive of affordable housing, affordable public transportation, fund our schools, fund our parks, fund our whole system. Because the system that we're going to with the Trumpers is just only benefits a few. And then again, from the Fox News, just to understand their point of view, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to understand it. Is they're trying to paint that, oh well, one side is really, really violent, and therefore we have to call the military on them. So let's listen first for a second here.
You see Gavin Newsom on the late night talk shows doxing or trying to get ICE agents doxed, trying to get them unmasked. I mean, how reckless are we getting now?
Well, this is a governor, Jesse, who is saying that he does not want ICE agents to put masks on, and they're doing that for their safety because there's a threat to them and their family out there, as we saw with the.
All right, so here's the argument that the Fox people are making. They're saying the ICE people have to mask up, and they have to go arrest as many people because all these other people are dangerous, and we have to mask up because we're putting our lives in danger. And it's, just think about the discussions that we're having now in USA, right? Fox basically tells you every day that you got to go arrest a bunch of people because they're stealing your job. That's basically their message. And in order to do that, we have to wear masks. Then from the other point of view, would be like, why are these masked people just kidnapping people without due process, right? And then you have to decide which sounds more reasonable. Is it reasonable look at other countries, right? Just imagine if put yourself in the shoes of somewhere else, right? Let's say you're not American, put yourself in the shoes of somewhere else. And let's say we'll use the example of Italy for this time. And if you're Italian and you walk around and you're like, why are there masked people just kidnapping people with no due process? You don't even know what you're charged with. You're held in these private, for-profit prisons for a week or so, right? Like, wouldn't you find that really disturbing? That's what we're disturbed about. And then if you call them out on it and say, hey, why are you going around arresting people without due process, holding them indefinitely, right? And for-profit prisons, and then they'll say, oh, well, see, you're so violent. You're so violent. We need to call yet more military. And it's all insane. This whole thing is absolutely insane. And that's why I showed you like who these MAGA people are. And then you'll see the interaction where the other person's just like, trying to stay calm, laughing at the person who's getting angry because it's like, this whole thing's crazy. But a lot of it, honestly, is fueled by Fox News. Every day, it's obvious the message that they put out. I'm trying to say this in the most polite way possible. It's hard because I get the arguments that the Fox is making, and again, as a reasonable person, you have to decide for yourself. And it's something I always encourage you guys is just use critical thinking. Is sit down and just like, hey, have a real conversation about this stuff. And the simple conversation would be, do you want mass people coming to your neighborhoods and just causing up stuff? And I just think Trump is just basically tearing us apart so that he can put money in his pocket, be it his crypto scams, whatever he's doing now with bailing on Argentina. And that's the stuff we should be talking about. So I did want to point this stuff out to you. So you guys can see what's going on. And that's my thoughts on this. And I'll catch you on the next video.